What's up, Bogota? My name's Jamie Insalaco. Today, I am here with Mr. Frank Miranda. He is the president of the Bogota School District Board of Education, and today he's going to answer some of my questions about all of the new things that we're seeing throughout the school district, and specifically today about the new Bogota High School auditorium. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for having us. Thank you for covering the district. You know, sometimes it goes unnoticed, and at times I don't think our community knows exactly what's happening, what the good things that happen.
Yeah. Sometimes, like no news is good news, but there is good news. So why not share it with everybody? So in the last 6 months, it feels like the school district has announced completion of another project, almost every few weeks, it feels like, and it just keeps rolling out. And most recently, the Bogota High School auditorium. How did we get here? How did you get all this done?
It's interesting, and first and foremost, I do want to thank our community. I want to thank you as a taxpayer. You couldn't have done it without you, and without those taxpayers that believed in us. So that's, I always want to make sure I cover that. We were just really grateful. I'm sure school districts and the children of our community are very grateful for the taxpayer support. Sometime around 2020, I first joined the Board of Education, and I had contacted Mr. Kennedy, and I've always had a vision for improving our fields, improving our recreation, improving our athletic support, our athletic programming, and what we had to give them, right? A home for them to be proud of. I knew that, and part of what I ran and the agenda I ran on is that our schools were becoming outdated and areas of our schools needed to be improved. And that doesn't happen without a referendum. However, I wasn't completely informed of the process and what it took and how we would get here. So I contacted Mr. Kennedy on my, literally in December of my election, one in January and November, thanks to the Bogota taxpayers, Bogota residents. And in December, I contacted Mr. Kennedy. I said, Mr. Kennedy, and I got to know Mr. Kennedy. This is who you are. This is who I am. This is what I envision. This is what you envision. And we immediately meshed, right? Mr. Kennedy told me about his desire for a career technical building in Bogota. We have one of the greatest, newest career technical buildings in such a small town. Where we do culinary arts, we do cybersecurity, and we'll cover those bases soon. But and who I'm a big proponent of naming it shortly after the Kennedy Center, because Mr. Kennedy put a lot of time. He put his family in the forefront. When you do this volunteerism, you realize you give up a lot of family time.
Yeah.
So Mr. Kennedy deserves that medal. And I told him I need new fields, and I want a new park. I want our sports program to, flourish. And then I said, and we need to cover areas of schools that I've seen outdated. And he seconded that. He basically said, yes, we got to update a lot of areas of our school. And that's what was born. This is how everything was born here. I became president in January of 2022. So I thank my board and the community who trusted in me to get on the board and voted me in as president. Elected me as president, and that's where the mission started. I started working with Mr. Kennedy. I started working with the architects, working with our phenomenal business administrator, Irfan, and the entire administration on what were our very next needs and what was attainable, right? Because there's always the clouds and the stars, and then there's reality. We figured out that what we can get done and how we can get it done. The best part about it is, I think in life, it's always about timing.
Sure.
It's perfect timing. We knew that we were rolling off somewhere in 2024, 2025, an old referendum, which was worth about $8 to $9 million. That referendum was going to be paid off. It was at its, life cycle, which is usually 20, 25 years, 30 years. So it was at its life cycle. And the payment of that referendum basically washed out what we could get today, which altogether you would say would be about $18 million, $17 million. So that would pay off the same. It would be net to what was already in the budget for the last 25 years. However, we estimated that we would need about $21 million. So, and we not only focused on the Board of Education, we realized that we needed a sports complex. And I'm not sure if you're familiar, but half of the park and the other half of what's called Olsen and Feigel Field, one is the boroughs,
right,
and the other half is the Board of Education.
Right.
So when we went down there to do the surveys, and interesting enough, I looked at Mr. Kennedy and at the time Jose Chavez and Mrs. Ruckett and some of us, and I said, are we only going to do half of this park? In my previous years coming from the council, and I must say, one of my biggest, what I think I'm probably best known for today, is that I wanted to develop a new rec center. I was part of, I've had the fortitude to be part of any major advancement Bogota's had over the last 15 years. From what's now happening, kudos to the new council and mayor, is the rec center. Right. I was the driver of the rec center together with a team, but I was with individuals who serve, Mr. Tom Napolitano being one of the biggest and the most favorable proponents and partners that I worked with in making that recreation center come to life. So when the development of the new apartments down at West Fort Lee Road, the Atwater, I was part of that. And as that occurred, we were able to negotiate maybe $5-6 million. And mind so many things we've done to help be able to develop that rec center. So that didn't go through, because one of the things you face in government, and while this is the Board of Education, it's still a form of government, and it still has elections.
Sure,
and elections are great, right? Yeah. They are. The people get to pick who's going to serve them in the best of their abilities. And as voters, we only hope for the best of those abilities.
Yeah. Are you talking about time frames? I feel like you're talking about running out of time.
It's just, you run out of time. You get a 2-year stunt, you get a 4-year stunt, you can have the best interests at heart, and then new people come in with new ideas and projects never get done. You see New York City.
Right, sure.
It's constantly under construction. It's usually not because the initiator didn't get it done, right?
Right.
It's usually because new ideas come in and that project doesn't conclude itself. So that project didn't conclude itself for us, or for me in that case. So as I came into the Board of Education, we look at the fields, we knew that there wasn't enough money in the town or enough of the financial standing to create or develop a park with us. So this Board of Ed decided to include the town and talk to the council and the mayor and say, this is a project that's going to be culminated for everybody, right? It's going to give all the residents, all the children, everyone's going to be able to enjoy this one thing. So that's how it came together. We put a referendum into 2 parts. We got some state money, Green Acres money. We put a whole project together. There's a lot of little different pieces to it in order to get to the $21 million mark. The best part about that mark is that when we passed that referendum, and kudos to and I always I'm a guy of gratitude, right? So I'm always going to give thanks to the people who really earned out those stripes. And Irfan, we have a great business administrator, and us and our bond counsel and our auditors, we all agree that a high interest bearing account while we paid this project.
Because we knew the project. What a great time to invest.
Best time of the country to make a high interest bearing. And that earned us about another $1.2 million, give or take, maybe 1 million plus something in interest to allow us to pay forward.
Perfect timing.
It was the best. It was the best timing. So that's how it all came together. Just a team of people with the right goals, the right concept. And I got to say, it wasn't just us. Every PTO meeting we went to, every parent that we spoke to, I mean, think about it. It is the largest voting base in Bogota is the parents, right?
Sure.
They're the most involved, quote unquote, for the most part, right? They know that something is happening. They hear it through their children. They hear it through the staff. They hear it through our follow-ups and through the PTO, right? Without PTOs, there's a lot of things that don't get done. And those PTO groups that were available, that were serving at that time, they supported the program. They supported the idea. There were so many different groups that, supported the idea. Even when, as you can imagine, there was a lot of naysayers too. There's always the negative,
Sure.
the taxes.
The finger thing means the taxes.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. It's not a small amount of money, but like when you think about this building being 100 years old, and maybe the last time, I don't know, does anybody even know when the last time somebody put money into this auditorium? Like the seats were the same seats as when my parents were here in the 60s. And I think they just got replaced this summer.
Yeah. We replaced all our seats. We replaced the floor of the
stage.
And I call it the stadium all the time because it is a grand stadium for us. But for the stage, we've done upgrades. But the most important upgrades that I think that people are going to realize is the electrical upgrades.
And that's all about maintaining comfort in the building?
Comfort in the building. It's all about people complained, the people, right? Our people, right? The residents of Bogota, they complained that it was always hot or too cold.
Yeah.
And it's across the buildings, right? It's over 100-year-old building. How do you get into solid concrete walls and run new cabling? It's not the same thing as you have at home when you gut it. So we are currently in the process of upgrading all of the electrical boxes and as much as we are able to access, right? Because it ain't a complete overhaul, but a very substantial amount in Steen, in Bixby, at the high school, the Bogota Junior High School, which we don't forever want to call it that, right?
Right.
But we're doing upgrades. This auditorium in particular will have air conditioning. Right. It was one of the major things. I want to make sure that people understand not only are we going to have air conditioning in here, throughout the process, we've been able to upgrade electrical systems where we have recycling units of air. So we're extracting air in this current high school building and somehow making that air cooler. They're not air conditioners per se.
Right.
But they are a cooling system. They cool you down, right?
They
Because
pull the heat
they
out.
pull the heat out, they go through the window, they go up, they move out, and they sort of bring back some sort of more moderate temperature into the rooms. Because air conditioners are unattainable unless we go for another $50 million referendum.
Yeah, and they use a lot of power. They have a lot of long-term costs as well in terms of just using energy.
I will say that when we gutted this auditorium, we have been very under budget through this process. Our board has been focused on every penny because we know and we understood from all the business backgrounds, all the professionalism that the board holds, and we hear it all over the news, and we read it a lot often on the record, that, government entities get ripped off.
Sure.
And if not necessarily ripped off, but somehow things go for too long.
Yeah, there's a long stretch, and like different people come in different, as you're saying, over different terms of government, whether it's Board of Ed or Town Council. At some point your term runs out and you may just be at a different point in your life. You're like, I can't do it anymore for whatever reason. You must be very tired because you've been doing it for so long.
I will say I'm exhausted. I have actually said to my team, they call it the team, right? And I often want to always express to my colleagues, or a team, you're a team, right? When you want to be part of something good and you want to discuss it, it's a team effort. It takes a community, right? So when you're part of this community board that serves, it takes time. You're exhausted.
Sure.
It's a long process. But this team was very particular. We were all very particular about looking at the pennies, watching every detail, making sure we finish as fast. Time is money. Anywhere in the world, time is money. The more time it takes.
This started like the last day of school.
That's right.
Yeah, I heard.
And we came here every time while we were doing the bathrooms for the children.
Right.
While we were doing other projects at the same time. While we were gutting this career technical building. Second to none. You must go check it out. While we were putting vestibules in. While our fields were being gutted. All of this was happening in some shape or form almost at the same time. Pushing contractors, watching any overrun funds, watching every penny, right? And even then, even though we were on the budget, even then, When this place was gutted, it was like another $800,000.
Right.
Because there was instability to the roof, because we need to put the unit on top of the roof. So you could just go imagine, right?
Yeah, that's what happens. You never really know when you do any kind of renovation,
Never.
especially in this town. Most of the houses are from the 1920s. Some of them are even older. You never know what's in there until you get inside
Never.
the walls. And that's something
It's
I think
scary.
everybody in town can relate to, right? Because all their houses are old and they all need work done. They
Absolutely.
all have work done. And and of course, it's a thing that never ends. Like, you always have upkeep, you always have maintenance. But when you do something big like this, you're just going to find stuff. It's just what's going to
It's
happen.
part of the business.
It's part of the process.
I'll never forget, one of the bigger shockers is elevators, right? We were doing the career technical building. We were at the stage end of our career technical building. And there's only a few companies of elevators and people who work on elevators. And I get a call. I get this very interesting call that says, well, we need to open for school year. We need to open in September one way or another. We got to get this open. We need to use the classrooms. We got to get started. We've already hired instructors. We've already hired our director for helping us manage career technical aspects of training and education. And it's probably going to cost us like $30,000 or $20,000 or some number. It was a heavy number just to get an appointment for them to install that elevator in 2 weeks.
Right.
So we were up for that elevator installation, but and I don't think anyone can figure out or knows what it takes. You have to work with the contractors, with our administration, with the architects, with the engineers. The worst of them all, with PSC&G, with
Yes.
Suez, with the town, with the tree people, so you got to work with all of this all at once for it to be perfect.
Yeah.
The issue is it isn't perfect.
Yeah.
An electrical component took 2 months and it arrived early, or it arrives very late, more
Right.
often than not.
Yeah.
You have to split, you have to change the plans, and I have to thank, the people that I have to thank the most is our inspectors in town. Our inspectors in town were great. Any phone call we made, any time I walked in, I said, guys, help me. Not only did they help us get the inspections moving, but they also gave us guidance and advice that you often don't see in electrical engineering, right? There's a perfect, and then there's an option two. You never get the option two.
Right.
But the professionals in our town, those inspectors say, there's an option. The code says X. So instead of using one unit and waiting for a year to turn on the lights, you could hit it to 2 units. It passes code. It's perfect. It's better. And boom, it gets. So when you hear those things, and you have to pay an extra $20,000 to $30,000 just to get an appointment, so you can meet the needs of the children, you can just imagine.
Yeah. I mean, everything's like that. Like if you guys need to pour a bunch of concrete when you're doing down the field, right? There's only 2 or 3 places that do that now in our area who will show up with a big concrete truck and just dump a bunch of concrete for you.
And I tell you,
tough.
it happened at the Career Technical Building. We after we have gutted and we got the floors ready, the floors had an aspect to layers, and that was another one. We had to find the concrete company on time to come in and put it in. So yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's on the schedule.
It's not an easy thing.
So just getting back to the auditorium, did they replace everything?
So we replaced the majority. Look, I can say this. Yes, I always say yes. We didn't replace everything, but we modernized everything, right? We had some sound system in it. We had some lights, but you can't tell lights with a dark room, right?
Sure.
There is some modernization to the lights. So there's above lights. If you can look at the architecture portion of it, the design around it, it's just wonderful, right? It looks like downtown.
Like why would you want to change the beautiful dental molding or any of the
there were
pillars, all the
things that
detail?
there were things that we
can't get
kept.
this detail done anymore.
No, you can't. So there was definitely things that we repainted over. We wanted to keep the Bogosian part of everything, right?
Right.
But we did recognize we had to modernize our seats. I mean,
the seats are so
I know.
old.
I was a child in school when we had seats, so we got brand new seating. We did add a lot of lighting down. So sort of wanted to look like Broadway.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also just much safer to have this
it's
aisle
much
lighting.
safer.
It's
So
just nice.
we in this building, we've done a lot in every building actually, but we've basically modernized. We got new floors in, new stage equipment. We've gotten new doors in, new safe doors, sizing doors for more flow and influx of residents in Bogota. Sound has been upgraded. So there's a lot going on for this new auditorium. But this is not it. You go to Steen, you see what we've done there. You go to Bixby, expanded the gym.
Right.
We've expanded the gym in Bixby. We've moved the auditorium, the stage area backwards. Our lunch tables now go into the wall. So we get a real playtime. Our staff, you got to thank the staff for all they do every single day. They come in and out. They had to move tables, fold tables, get the lunching out. We have a kitchen area in the same area that didn't exist. It was more like a closet. So now all the food is managed there. There's a lot less moving around that we had at Bixby, right? So it's modernized in many ways.
Yeah, no, it was tough for them to set up for lunch when I was a kid at Bixby. Even as a kid, you would recognize that they had to drag all these tables out, drag out all these heavy metal folding chairs. Somebody had to do that every day and then take it all down again.
Well, that's all gone.
And they don't have to do that
to some extent, right? You still have to take it down, put it back up, but it's
it's not like it
the
was.
ease. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It is definitely improved 100%. The colors, the inspiration behind it, it's just wonderful.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
You have your basic auditorium uses for students. You have assemblies, you have concerts, you have plays, you have musicals, you have awards nights, so forth. Do you foresee any other ways to use the space, with the community, or just other ideas about the space?
So absolutely, right. I don't know if it's going to be under my term here. I will say that the one thing I was huge about, and I was very loud and clear, is I wanted our children to enjoy it, let it sink in. And I wanted our community to really look at it before it becomes run down. We don't want it to be like those cities where you're rollerblading, ice skating, and in 10 years you have to renovate everything again. I will say, though, there has been a lot of talks. We're looking at guest speakers. College speakers come in and speak to our children. We're looking at, it's in the actually very soon, we're looking at drama class courses and classes. We do want to look for the right partners. We want to make sure, we've gotten an abundance of emails and outreaches about our fields, about our auditoriums, about our school gyms. People want to use new facilities. They do. But what we have to be cognizant about is that people use your stuff and then they go home.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily polish it.
It's
or
not
clean
their
it.
problem.
Yeah, it's not it's our problem.
Yeah.
It's our taxpayer problem.
Sure. You could have Film New Jersey come in here and use your space, but like you said, you want to find the right partners.
And often what happens is, we want to make sure that it's pride. We want to make sure that we teach our community, our children, take care of what you got, right? That's a huge thing at home. It should be.
Right.
I was raised that way. This is all you got. This is a once in a lifetime thing, because the reality is that every 25 years is a different lifetime.
Yeah.
Every 10 it changes, right? So we knew that this referendum was a one-time, one shot. So much so that when you go down to league of municipalities, or not even the Board of Education has their own type of league, and I'm losing the train of thought of what it's called. But we go down and some of our board members went down and we took a specific course on referendum.
Right. How
referendum passes. I got to tell you, it's impressive. The first thing they tell you in the process, don't give up. Do you know why, Gene?
Is it because
it never passes?
They never pass the first time.
And they don't pass the first time.
Because people have to hear about it, get used to the idea.
Bogota passed the first time.
Yeah.
6-1, huge vote, turnout, great, boom, it passed. That means that we involved every community member, whether they were for it or against it. We informed our community very aggressively, very loudly, and very informatively. There were signs, there were barcodes, and that you could scan and you could know exactly what it was about. Even throughout that process, they're telling you that it doesn't pass. So there was fear in us.
Yeah, I mean, it was essentially amongst people my age when we were teenagers, our unofficial Bogota motto was nothing ever changes.
Yep.
Right? But it has. It really has. And I can't tell you how excited I am, how proud I am. And but more than that, just seeing something that you thought was impossible be possible, even on this scale, is really an incredible thing, because like we live by the city of Hackensack, next to the village of Richfield Park. We're the borough of Bogota, right? Which is as small as it gets. And we still were somehow able to get all of this done. And I don't know how you did it.
I don't know how we did it. Again, I thank you. I thank all the taxpayers of Bogota. I will say this. I moved here, I believe, around 2011, 2012. About a year and a half, 2 years into it, I got on the council. I'll never forget. And sometimes people say, man, we brag too much, or we say too much. It's not about bragging, it's about pride. When I moved here, no one knew Bogota, right? I remember going around and different towns. Where did you move in Jersey? Bogota.
Hackensack, New Jersey.
Bogota, Bogota, Colombia, Bogota. No one knew Bogota, right? But today, you go down to New Jersey convention of the Board of Education, and they have a replica of our fields that say Bogota, or a replica of auditorium say Bogota, videos say Bogota, right? All of a sudden, we're on the map.
Yeah.
I remember putting my youngest child, in Richfield Park, soccer, and it was sad to hear the comments that were made about Bogota, about how we didn't have parks, our programs were failing, our schools weren't good. Today, that's not the same saying. Today, the tables have reversed. I don't wish negative on anyone, but at one point, we weren't necessarily the town positively spoken about. Today, we are. How did it all come together? You're right. When I came to Bogota, coming from New York City, from what we call, and I never stayed, the hood. Everybody said that was the hood. Coming from a lower poverty neighborhood, growing up through the struggle, I still had a better community center than what Bogota had.
Right.
And it shocked me. It was like it shocked me. I've boxed my childhood. I've played basketball. I was a big baseball player in this little community center. We had a pool. We had a huge community pool. When you come to Bogota and you start searching, and there was this little building, there was not much to it. There was a lot of negativity. We'll never get it done. I cannot tell you how many people in proper positions tell me you'll never get it done.
Yeah.
It's just Bogota does not believe in it. And that was sad. It was sad to me. But then there was another side of Bogota that said, you could get it done. Let's go get it done. When I first, on the council, had a meeting to represent how we were going to pay for the rec center, there were 200-300 people. It was probably the largest meeting I had ever seen to this day out there in favor of it. I knew that those 200-300 people were going to help me spread the word when I got on the Board of Education. I knew, and I thanked them because they must be thanked. I don't forget them. I know every face. I know every parent. And unfortunately, their children are now out of high school.
Right.
And they didn't get to do this, but they remember. Some of them serve on the board with us today. They remember the vision that it was happening. Think about the Atwater. When the Atwater was a project that everyone was against, there was so much negativity. They claimed that residents were going to be underwater. The residents were going to be flooded. We considered that. We voted on that on area redevelopment. We allowed the building of these new apartments. And listen, there's always pros and cons to everything.
Sure.
Nothing is perfect. But did it propel us 25 years forward? Absolutely. That development brought a different image to Bogota. And frankly, it started happening before Hackensack. And look at where Hackensack has developed, right? And then the county came in and raised the roads. Where's the flooding now? I understand that sometimes we just get used to it, right? Look at the countries around the world. they get used to the negativity. It's never going to happen. You're right.
Defeatism.
Yeah, in a dream world.
Yeah. We were defeated.
It's hard to break out of.
We were. But you know what? I think there's a different tone in Bogota. You know, we defeated this. We did it together. There was a lot of heart and soul behind it. There was a lot of vision. And this is where we're at today. Look at where we're at in Bogota.
So you've done all these improvements across the district. Have you finally reached the point where you can put your hard hat in your attic and just like move on and just kind of enjoy and just be like, make sure we keep everything tight?
Yeah.
Have we finished? Can we put our drills and saws away, or are we not quite finished?
Not just yet.
Not yet.
Because I think I mentioned, right, the financial standing, and if I didn't, I will. We are on the budget. And maybe not a lot on the budget, but we're enough on the budget. So we are now in the motion of moving our media center forward.
That's here at the library. That's contemporary speak for a library.
That's right. That's the new version of a library. Because we tell children to go to the library, they don't want to read. So the media center, the technology. So we're doing that as we speak. We're moving into that very soon. But because we're on the budget, and if we remain on the budget, and even if we don't, and I'll explain why, we're going to do an arts classroom center over at Steen. Right, the art school.
Right.
I think they're all artsy here today, from drama classes here to guest speaking to what Steen has done and what Bixby is doing with this new stage. You get a new stage, you get a lot of talent coming out. These kids can sing. I don't know if you've ever been here, and I invite everyone. I've watched SpongeBob, I've watched Peter Pan, I've watched these kids grow, and they've blossomed into beautiful young talent. They sing. They're into character. There's no sleeping in these chairs. And these chairs are very comfortable.
That's true.
These guys, these children, the band, I'm sure you hear them in the background.
Yeah, that's the Bogota High School Jazz Band playing Birdland if it's getting picked up by our mics.
So they're amazing. They're amazing. So, you know, my kid has had the opportunity to go to another school because of what he learned here and his talent in the band. And he still comes back and he plays with the band. And our band is phenomenal. We were not stopping yet. I don't know if my tenure, but I sure believe that before I leave, there's more to come. Our district is so financially stable. You know, I mentioned to you that we had a high interest bearing account with the referendum, so it's able to pay for all the extra chairs and the media and the career technical needs, the mechanic needs. That soon we'll do oil changes for our community.
That's gonna be amazing.
It's amazing. Soon we're going to be doing contests and serving our community because we have a second to none culinary arts room. It's not a room, it's a huge culinary arts kitchen. It's just phenomenal. We have, I don't know if you know, we're going to have our students, before they graduate, they're going to have A++ certificates in technology, computer. They're going to build phones, they're going to build computers. We already started that. We're going to have a nursing or medical type of class in our classrooms where they're going to be able to take blood pressure and do certain basic screenings. We're trying to bring back hands-on, right? So we're going to have carpentry.
It sounds great.
If you go see the carpentry, it's phenomenal. So we've had a lot of great things coming to Bogota. But the best thing that puts all this together is Bogota now finishes this year with $7.5 million in capital. I mean, that is unheard of. That has not occurred in Bogota in this time. Even with that, we're able to max our fund for what they call maintenance emergency reserve of $900,000. Amazing financial standing. When you have that type of opportunity, because those are always opportunities, you have to look at what the future may need. I know, we all know, that we may need a building. We need space that can help our school district for the next 25 years.
Yeah, and I think if folks are new to town, they may not realize that, like, we lost a building in the 90s.
We did.
And
the Dewey School.
And that's where my mom went to grammar school, and like just generations of kids until 1993. We were a 3 grammar school town, and like we've lost an entire building, and like renting St. Joe's is great, and that gives us a whole nother opportunity, but it's just not the same amount of space.
It isn't. It was the best opportunity, right?
Yeah, it was an available opportunity.
It was available. We are redistricting, which had a lot of pros and cons to it. In people's opinion, it was pretty smooth, I must say. I'm not sure if you're familiar or our community's familiar, but we have given our community what we call courtesy busing.
Yeah.
To transfer between schools, right? So that when we targeted this advancement in Bogota, we did it not just with a small Board of Education advancement or impression, right? Sure. It was about a community growth and how we were going to do it. So what we did is we put community busing. We did that so we could alleviate traffic.
Right.
For the town.
Sure.
For the residents who have had years complaining about the parking in front of their homes, the not being able to get out, to alleviate. We work with the council to do one-way traffic in school drop-offs. We added in Steen, while it is perfect, a drop-off lane, and we have worked together, right? So it's part of being good to your staff.
Right.
It's part of working with your staff to make sure that they feel honored, that there's gratitude, and they can reciprocate that. So they go out every morning, and they remove children, right? They help the children come out and help the parents flow, to have traffic flow. Mm-hmm. So we have it's just everything.
Right. There's changing times, right?
There's changing times.
I've talked to a lot of people in town, or I've read on the different Bogota message boards, and people are like, oh, like, why can't the kids walk to school anymore? I was like, well, part of that is because it's not the 1990s anymore, and the kids have 800 million after-school activities. Like, just the very structure of childhood is completely different than it was even 20 years ago. It's just different. It's just not how it was. And to speak to your point about the busing, if you are at Bixby and you have to walk down to Bogart, like I know it looks super close, but as somebody that grew up on the other side of the town and was always walking, it's like being Lawrence of Arabia or something. It's like some kind of epic journey. Like it takes you 20 minutes to walk. Like if you're a high school student and you play a sport and you have to walk from the field to like where you live, like say you live by like Chestnut and Dunn, that's a 25 half-hour walk going up 2 hills. It's like in a car, it takes 3 minutes.
No,
like
look,
it's tough.
Children there's a reason why we're developing this, right? We were accustomed, and I'm sure we're of similar age, we're accustomed of the rough, the rugged, right?
Yeah.
We had to walk through the piles of snows, and we were taught, the breed was much different.
But
today,
like,
they're smarter.
Yeah, and like also like that wasn't good. It didn't, just because we did it didn't make it a good experience. I saw not in New Jersey, but there are other teachers like, oh, could you imagine if I took the children's water bottles away from them? I was like, yeah, just because like we were dehydrated all the time and like didn't have water bottles doesn't make that good.
I don't take away from it. I think that evolution over time provides a different circumstance, and usually an uphill one. Children today, the reason we are finding so many different strategies for academians, for the little bit of time that these kids dedicate to this conversation. You could not sit here today with a child, right? They're brilliant in so many ways. They know so many things. They're smart. They take technology and flip it upside down. We have to work and contribute financially, via tax, via just programming and robotics and data to keep up with their mindset, how they're moving. They're moving fast. Mm-hmm. With all of that comes that children just don't pay attention to walking and crossing the street anymore. Not everyone. There's still few that, but so because we're moving faster pace, parents are working much more hours. Yeah. Much harder to keep up with all the same things we're discussing right now. So the back and forth occurs, and we have to channel that energy in the most productive ways. What this board did and what this Board of Education did is imagine an image or a picture that solved a lot of different problems.
Yeah.
We took down the fence when, at a time in the country, division was at its worst, and probably still so, but we took down the fence to bring all of it together. At the end of the day, we were Bogotans. We are Bogota taxpayers, Bogota residents. Taking the fence down, this isn't the board or this isn't the town. As I mentioned earlier, people leave, they come and go, especially the elected officials. So by taking that down, we knew that children would flourish. Have you gone down to those parks? I mean, our senior citizens are now walking every day at 10 a.m. That wasn't something they were in favor of.
Because there wasn't really a great place for them to necessarily walk.
Sometimes I tell people, doctors tell you have to take the medicine and you don't want to take that cold medicine, and at some point it's the only way you're going to get better. So that was sort of the concept here. We knew that people were going to enjoy it. So we've done the traffic studies. We have worked on traffic. We have worked on one way with the council. The council had a lot to do with this. We've had to go through the process. We did our own traffic study and gave it to the police department and gave it to the council and said, look, there's opportunities to improve. Is it 1,000% better? Probably not. When cars start flying, we'll figure it out, right?
Yeah.
But it's much better than what we have, or having nothing. And I think that's where gratitude comes in, right? What we had yesterday is different today, and can we get the difference? And we nailed the difference. We're financially stable in this Board of Education. I mean, more than it's ever been. We have done a lot more with less. We're safer today. We have lockdowns in our school systems. We have SLEOs in our school systems, which are officers, right, that protect our children from exterior threats. With a button, we can lock down the school system, and the town knows exactly. The police department watches and monitors it. It's great. We have vestibules where before you could just walk in, if your door were open, someone could run in. And we're imperfect. We had an incident where it sparked our interest, where someone put a bag in the door and ran the other way. But that bag could have been a major problem.
Sure.
And there's been situations that are very unfortunate in our country and sad. And we have to learn from those experiences, those unfortunate experiences. So we've added vestibules so no one can pass between the first door and the second door.
Yeah.
Unless you're fully checked.
Yeah. They didn't just let me in here.
No. And we scan your IDs. You got to have the sticker. You just can't roam around buildings anymore.
No.
When you take all of that, from the town to the needs of the schools and the children, and the needs of our police department, and the needs, we got to work together. We did fiber optics. It's a program that a lot of people, residents don't know. So this board, worked on the fiber optics. And the best thing is, I always say, I sat home recently, and I said, as I scale back, dedicate time, I said, volunteers lose a lot of family time and children time.
Sure.
And there's a point now where my children are telling me, now they're old enough to recognize it. Dad, where are you?
Yeah.
Sometimes I got to be at a meeting, at a committee meeting. I have to tone it down a notch or several notches, right? To your wife, your children, they're the best.
Yeah.
They're the support system. I was taught by my father and my grandfather, your wife are the three pillars of the stool. You're just one.
Yeah.
And the children knock her over. So you got to make sure you keep that table at steady. So sometimes you have to recognize that you got to give back to your family again. But when you contribute in all these areas and you give that to your children and you give that to your family and your community, it's a better home for Bogota. It's a better place. I've been fortunate enough to, as I mentioned, be part of many advancements in Bogota, from a warehouse that used to be a golf center that people thought trucking was going to come through, and look at that place, it's beautiful. And I don't think people understand that when I was the planning and zoning board, not just me, there were other members there that were a huge part of that. We focused on giving Bogota more visibility and opportunity. And there's a walking path with beautiful benches and trees and sidewalks. So people should take advantage of that, because I think people don't realize that right down from Quick Check, you can go right down, you can walk, you can jog. It's a beautiful atmosphere. And especially in the summer when everything is growing, it's beautiful. But we also did that, right? Our career technical building is going to focus on community things. The parking lot here, which was not our doing, was a previous administration. What we want to do with this is bring farmers market to it. We want to, we do need to have revenue. People often forget that these things cost money and they're going to be paid off the next 25 years. But as I said, it was a wash. And even when we put the referendum out, Jamie, we said there was going to be about $125 tax increase. It was like $165. As the project got closer, it came down to like the 120s. But what we did was we had not increased taxes in Bogota, this board, for about 5 years, 4 years going into your 5th year. That was unheard of, all right?
Sure.
So that was amazing, right? We were doing less with more. We were doing more with less. And we had not taken that increase. But this year, right? Because it's a half year for the tax increases. So last year we realized that, and I had mentioned, sometimes elected people change, have different ideas. And there's a rule that if you haven't taken a certain amount of increases, whoever, including this board, any board, if an impact hits, you could take a 5-6% increase, 7-8% at one time. I was just reading that I think there was a city, I don't know if it was Newark or something, they took or some other city, a 9% increase.
Wow.
Yeah, because that had not occurred. So we took an increase last year, which is a 2% increase, but we balanced our budget. So because we had the opportunity, the fortitude, and we were fiscally responsible enough that we balanced and we made our first payment on the referendum. So the residents of Bogota did not feel that increase. This year, so far, we've gotten an outstanding record. Our auditor said it is probably the only school district that has an outstanding record for several years back to back. Nothing missing, well spent, documented, all transparency at its best, and still provided all of this. That we may take an increase and balance the budget again, right? Because we can.
Right.
You can do things where you can. And being in such a financial position of $7.5 million, 900,000, that's your max for an emergency reserve or what they call a maintenance reserve. When you can max things and there's still a little more, well, you give it back to the residents of Bogota. And that's what we fully intend to do. That's our mission. Like I said, I don't know what else is coming. I know that we need space. Yes, we have St. Joe's. Yes, our agreement has a clause that if they want to ever sell, we should have the first rights. It is a beautiful building. When we went into that building, we renovated it, painted it, did what we did, added cameras, added everything. It's a beautiful building. I encourage you to take a look at this career technical building. I encourage our entire community. We had a ribbon cutting and an opportunity for everybody to come in. I encourage you because it just makes you want to cry. And you being a very, child growing up in Bogota, I just heard your grandmother went to the Dewey School. That was an opportunity.
It was my mom.
Oh, your mom, okay.
But my grandparents moved to this town from New York City, like you. And that's who we are, I think. Like you come to this country, you move to New York City, and then you move out to Bogota, and you find your way for your next generation.
Somehow you find a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
We are our town is such a gem. And I used that years back, the gem of Bergen County. We have Route 4, Route 80, 46.
You can get to
and you can get to New York in 7 minutes with no traffic.
Yeah.
You can actually go all the way downtown Manhattan, Upper Manhattan, what they call, in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So when you have all of this, it's amazing how some of us found it. So kudos to your grandparents who found it. Kudos to my children, me and my wife.
Yes.
My wife, give the credit to my wife. I can't take credit. She found this town, and she found it through friends and people who had found it. And we found this little gem that it's extremely peaceful when you compare it to many places, like everything. There's pros and cons, right? People are going to come through it and they see it and they wonder what this place is. Our PD is strong, very vigilant. Our town is vigilant, and we communicate. And I think that that's what protects this little town of Bogota. But we're able to do big things, and we're doing amazing things in Bogota. I hope that any future generation get involved. I really, this isn't about this just board or me, Frank Miranda as president. Yeah, I might have been a little overly hyper and passionate because, like you said, you come from New York and you start seeing things. There's called flight and frisk.
Yeah.
You have to go.
You gotta make noise to get things done.
Noise to get things done. And I will say that I really encourage other people to get involved, the younger parenting to get involved, the younger PTA, PTO parents to get involved because some of us gotta go back home.
Yeah.
And we need other people to continue this progress. We need them to keep moving forward and keep our town flourishing.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that one day we're gonna need another building or plot of land because as much as it's said, growth still happens within the buildings of the schools. Our redistricting has been a success. There was some little hiccups, very minor, with the busing that we provided courteously has helped a lot of the transition. We don't have two of the same grade elementary schools because it's either that or go find a building.
Yeah.
And so we were serving the same grade levels. And we realized that if we shuffled a little bit, Mr. Kennedy was the biggest driver of this, if we just shuffled this a little bit, we will be able to serve everyone with more building space. So grade level classroom sizes decreased. And then suddenly you see new enrollments. We hope in the future we can bring more things in. We have special needs. We send out a district. We hope that we can afford one day to bring that home.
Right.
And actually be able to provide the service externally. Because you can't keep up with any of this without monetary.
Yeah.
And without a monetary income coming in to support this. We hope and we want them. I mean, we say we, right? But in the next 2 years and next year, there might be another set of elected officials. And it's the Board of Education, still an election. And they may have different ideas, but we only encourage that we look at bringing the services in. And for those towns that are overwhelmed, we can serve them as well. Because that brings revenue to our districts, to our town, to support all the nice things and all the great things.
Yeah, for me, an improved school district is better for everyone, whether you have children in the school district or not. It makes your town a better place. It's better for your property values. It's just better for everybody. It's just makes it a better place to live.
I don't think anyone would have ever imagined in Bogota that a 40 by 100 lot with a 13 square foot home will sell for $750,000.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'll never forget. Some of us said we're going to make this. I used to drive through Leonia to work in New York City, and you saw the 800, the 900 same houses, and we never thought we could get there, but we're there now.
Yep.
And we're just steps away from making it even better. We've had a blue ribbon school.
Right.
That can go. We've built an 18 to 21 program where we're bringing children that had certain needs, and we're teaching them life examples and life cycles, and we're teaching them how to take care of themselves. Wash their clothes, get a haircut, basic life needs. And we have that in Bogota, and a lot of people don't know that we put that in Bogota. We instilled that. And with that, I think we have 3 children or young adults, right, who have come to our program. And that program self-pays itself because I think we're revenuing about $300,000. So it's a small program, but it goes a long way.
Nice.
It has a good kick. So we hope to see more of that. We hope to keep pushing more of that. And I definitely hope, in my own opinion, right, because there's this clause that you have to often speak, not on behalf of the board, but you have to speak on yourself. So I've given you everything that I know and I learn and I've been part of in the board, but I also give my opinion, and I hope, and this is all my opinion only and not a reflection of the whole board, but I hope and pray that Bogota continues to thrive, that continues to use the same practices with their own ideas and better ideas, right? Because I believe in you can't sit in the same seat for too long.
Sure.
You have to give an opportunity to the next person. I personally believe that I'm at the cloud where I could have done. Maybe I'll have a different opinion in 5 years or a different idea for the town, for this. But today, I've pushed as much as I can. The board has pushed as much as they can. There's still more to go, and there's still things in the pipeline we have to finish. But the future looks bright for Bogota, and the sun is shining down on us. So let's keep going.
Can't say it any better than that. Mr. Frank Miranda, the president of the Bogota Board of Education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks
it's a
for talking to
pleasure.
me
Thank
today.
you so much.